You basically started a business when this is around 18 to 21, I assume, in that range.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what was
Self-employed.
what kind of business were you running, if I can ask that?
Music, entertainment. I'd have groups. I'd pretty much promote my artists. We'd do shows. We make money off shows. Make money from the sales of music. We would used to sell CDs
Hold
back in the truck. Back in those times. So
hold
it's
up.
just like,
So,
yeah.
because like I feel like you're really like downplaying something that's pretty huge in your life here, man. How many people actually start a company of some kind at that age, right? And then proceed
Mm,
to actually find artists and do something like hustle CDs out of a truck. I don't know that many people in my life that have actually gone through something
yeah,
like that.
the streets, man. That's the
One in a
streets. I feel
million.
like the streets taught me a lot. You know, uh, I love my family. I learned from my family a lot, but I feel like I was really a product of the street. Like, so I was a product of my environment, and I learned a
Mm.
lot from different people. Like a
Which
lot of people had
which
their aspirations
which part of Montreal are you from in that regard at that point in your life?
in NDG.
Straight up, you still around NDG?
Oh yeah, I dabble from time to time. Still in NDG. Have a place there.
NEG the
Yeah.
hood.
Straight up. To be fair, I'm also NDG. I mean, I've ran into you in the streets, so I know like we're not that far away. Um, but yeah, that's straight up. I just wanted to put that down on the record. Um, so that's interesting. I want to know more about this era of your life because I feel like not a lot of people understand what it even means to run that kind of a company. Do you think you could elaborate a little bit on what you were actually doing, like what it means to run that kind of a thing?
Um, you have to understand. Listen. You have to have a mindset of a businessman for one. You need to know how to manage. You need to know how to, for one, control your money.
Okay.
Facts.
Whew, number one, save your money. Save your money and invest in money. So I learned how to flip it. That's what you learn on the street, how to flip. So you put that in your you put that in your business and you're making bread. So once the bread that you make, you invest in yourself and you have the you have the tools to build an empire. So that's what I did. I built my own little empire and I learned how to control it and learn how to manage myself. And I had a solid group of people behind me. Number one, you have to make sure you have a solid team.
Definitely.
Solid
Mm.
team.
Definitely.
So
That's number one.
why don't you tell us a bit about like how many acts were you working with? What are the kind of what are the kind of pieces of the puzzle that create something like this? Like obviously you don't have to give away all the tricks of the trade, but the more information you can share about how this works, because I can tell you one thing, this is the kind of shit that so far the viewers have been enjoying the most is how people have actually built their businesses, the kinds of things that have worked for them, how they like in more a little more detail. And I say that because it's perceived as educational and it makes you like it really just helps everyone. So as much as you're willing to share about what you need to do to actually pull this off, like you have to find a video guy, that kind of stuff. Like what are the pieces to this puzzle?
Piece of the puzzle is first, um, make sure you work hard, make your money, save your money, buy your equipment that you need to really do what you love, because ain't no one's gonna do it for you. So you got to take that into consideration and go with it. Never have that feeling of self doubt because once you have self doubt, nothing really happens
Mm.
because you're fighting yourself at that point. So I like to grab the bull by the horns and actually make it happen.
Gotta grab it.
So with that is that I want to teach people to really like it starts with you first. 100%. It starts with you. And once you're comfortable and you love yourself and you're good with yourself, you excel. So that's when you're like, okay, yo, listen, I'm ready to do this. Let's make it happen.
All right. So
Yeah.
do you have any like crazy stories of your time back then? Like just like what were you guys up to? Were you throwing shows at that point for these people? Were you like doing videos? Like what kind of stuff were y'all running?
So pretty much almost like a record label.
Okay.
Almost like, yeah, but I wouldn't necessarily say a record label because we're an independent record label, if you want to put it that way. So I pretty much controlled that aspect, and so we'll do shows. Like I said, we'll make money off shows. We do jams, little house events, wherever we can perform. We performed, and we made our money off that. And while we were doing the shows, we sold our albums. So we opened the trunk, like here's a CD, blah blah blah. So people will bump our stuff and find us on social media. Because I'd always remember I'll put my social media right on the CD at the bottom. Gotta make sure you market yourself. So
that's the kind of shit right there. Because do you got anyone watching it? You gotta pay attention to what he just said. That was fucking genius right there. So let's break that down. He went set up the shows, right? And then to ensure the monetization happened, right? Because a lot of people just in Montreal, I've seen when they throw shows, they go ahead and they rely entirely on ticket sales, as though that is the only way that a person can have a revenue stream happen, as though there's no other flow and conversion funnel after that. But you guys said right off the jump, you did the shows, which is like your advertisement, right? That's advertising. We got the vibes, and they're ready to go. You had the albums in the trunk of the car that you're popping off, but you didn't even stop there, right? You proceeded to make sure that they knew how to get a hold of you and follow you with the album sale that went on right there. So y'all watching this, that is something to absolutely pay attention to, because it makes sure that your brand gets growing, you start to collect those followers, but most importantly, you make money in the process. And I think that's super interesting. But when was this? This is like 2010-ish? Is that kind of era?
Exactly, yeah.
So this is pre-streaming, and you could actually still like flip CD. Do you think you could still flip CDs out the back of a trunk, like right now in 2020?
People can flip USBs. Ooh, that would be good. Put your thing on a USB. Also put a picture, your social media in that key, and then bam. It's a good way.
Have you tried something like that?
No, but if anyone wants to use it, I just said it. Come on, let's get into it. Let's start a hustle.
I definitely know that was done about 5 years ago. It was a thing. A few bigger artists had done something like that, and there's a way to even lock the USB so that the files can't get taken off unless the person like reformats it. But we'll get into the modern marketing stuff now. I was just a little curious because man, there's not that many people that literally sold CDs at the back of a trunk in Montreal that I know. There's certainly a lot of a certain era, but that shit doesn't exist today, right? Like there are a few people I know that can pull off a hustle like that, and not many. So you basically created an enterprise that allowed you to build brand equity. How many shows did you guys throw? How long did this last for?
I would say about 5 years. About 5 years. Until that time, that's when I took focus on myself and took myself serious and pretty much exposed myself from there. So that's when it hit. That's when it hit that point.
So this is around you were about 21 that this happens?
Exactly.
So you got in a lot of feedback. Things were going good. People were feeling your shit. You guys were doing the show things. You basically built the financing that you... if you were to give a young artist a number, like how much money would you need to have in the bank before you were to like launch a solo enterprise, in your opinion? Because not many people talk about savings, so it's an interesting question from your perspective.
With that, I would say rounding the years, I say a good 20,000. So you want to work your way, even 15. To be honest with you, there's loopholes as well. Say
Absolutely.
your friends are camera guys, or your guy has a studio next door to you. So there's different aspects of different routes where you could save money in that aspect, So if you have someone that can work it for you, use that into your way of getting there. But if you want to do it yourself, you want to save a good 20,000.
That's an interesting number, and I definitely want to come back to it.